Hi, grade 4. Here's some more Wolf Hollow. Without school, without brothers underfoot, I had plenty of time to myself. I would have spent much of it in the barn anyway, with a book and rock doves for company, but today was Toby's. "It's just me," I whisper call at the foot of the ladder. No answer. I climbed carefully. The bucket was heavy. The metal bale hurt my fingers a little. When I reached the top, I set the bucket aside and climbed clear of the ladder. "Toby?" He appeared then from behind the wall of bales. He'd taken off his coat. Without it, he was as thin as a spring bear. Hatless, he had no shadow in which to hide. His eyes were blue. "You made yourself a hideaway," I said. "That's smart." I gestured at the bucket. "Are you hungry?" He shrugged. "I have jerky." "And now you have bread and jam, carrots, and well water. Coffee, though it'll be cold if you don't drink it right away. I can bring you more after supper." Toby still hadn't stepped any closer to where I stood at the edge of the loft. A rail ran along there, but no spindles. Next to nothing for a man afraid of heights. "I'll bring more water too, but there's a cistern with a hand pump where we came into the barn. If you need to wash up after it gets dark, or you could go a little further. Down the pasture, there's a trough. A spring feeds into it, so it's nice fresh water, but cold though." I imagined that Toby normally bathed and washed his clothes in the creek that ran near the smokehouse, though his coat was so stiff with weather and soot that he never seemed particularly clean regardless. Now, as he stood there without it, he looked almost respectable, though his hair and beard were long and tangled. But if you don't want to climb down. I moved the bucket well away from the edge of the loft next to the bale that Toby could use for a seat. He came closer, and I was reminded of the stray dogs when they first arrived to the farm. "Nuts," I said. "I forgot a knife for the jam." From his pocket, Toby pulled a jackknife. He sat on the bale. He cut the roll in half, twisted the band off the jam jar, pried off the lid with the tip of his knife, and spread some jam on half the roll. He held it out to me. "Toby, that's for you. I can eat at the house." He held it the half until I took it. Toby spread his portion with jam and set it on his knee while he wiped the knife clean between his fingers, closed it, put it away, then opened the jar of coffee. "I'm sorry if it's cold," I said. He ate the roll thoughtfully, drinking from the jar. I took a bite and only then realized how hungry I was. It seemed years since I awoke to find the constable at our table and the state police on their way. We ate in silence. Toby finished the coffee. "Do you want me to bring you a book to read?" I said, as if that he might not know how. Toby looked at me sharply. "We have lots of books, all kinds. My brother likes Robert Louis Stevenson. I do too." I shrugged. "If you want, I could bring you something, but you'll have to read it while there's daylight." Toby didn't need to think about it. "Whatever you have," he said. I sat down on the floor and crossed my legs. I tried to decide if it would be right to ask him some questions. I twirled a stem of hay between my palms. "Can I ask you a question, Toby?" He laced his fingers. "You just did." I saw his mouth twitch again, and with the seed of a smile, I almost said, "Can I ask you another question?" But I realized that would itself be another question. So I said, "What's your name? What's your family name?" But Toby didn't answer. He looked away. "No," I said quickly, "I have a better one. I wanted to know where he was from, if he had any brothers or sisters, whether he had ever had a dog, and what he called it, how old he was when he went to fight in the war, and how he became hurt, how he was now, though my mother said he always had to be 44 or 45, and what he meant when he said that he'd done something bad." "What's your favorite food?" I blurted out, feeling like a child. This time, Toby looked straight at me. After a brief pause, he said, "Hickory nut pie." "Really? My mother makes really good hickory nut pie. Did you know that?" He nodded. "She once gave me a piece. Best thing I ever ate." Toby's voice sounded different, softer. Said she was sorry it didn't have any cream on top. He shook his head. I don't know what I would have done if it had been any better than it was. I might have died, maybe. We spent some time like that, me asking small questions, Toby giving me longer and longer answers, until we were simply talking. Toby asked me questions too, so I told him about my grandmother, whom he'd seldom ever seen, and about Aunt Lily, though all I said was, and then there's my Aunt Lily, who is the postmistress, at which Toby interjected a quick, yes, I've seen her, and nothing more. And we'll leave it at that, and we'll be on chapter 16 next time. Have a great day.